Hello YouTube, what do we got here? Well, this is a GE portable power tool. I'm guessing from the 60s or 70s. It's a portable drill basically. I picked this up at a garage sale for about, was it $5 maybe or something like that? You can see here on this thing, it's 3 amps, 1/3 horsepower. Now this is interesting though. This one here only has a 1/4 inch chuck. So it's a small little guy, but as you can see, it does work. It's got a trigger lock down here, so you can fire that thing off, lock it in place. That's great. It's not reversible, unfortunately. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this guy apart, see what's going on inside, maybe clean things up a little bit, probably clean up the case, maybe repaint it. We'll see what happens there. See what's going on inside here. By the way, one thing that's interesting and it's nice to see, if you look closely in here, made in Bridgeport, Connecticut, USA. So you know it's got to be old. So we'll get this guy apart. Let's see what's happening. Okay, let's pop this open. Now, a quick confession before we go on. I actually bought 2 of these drills. One of them had a 1/4 inch head. The other one had a 3/8 inch head. The heads are swappable on these units. So we theoretically could swap the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 inch one. I don't know why. You could also buy extra heads with these things when GE sold them. For instance, they had a sander and I think a buffer at least as well. So it was a pretty ingenious design. I'm going to go back and forth a little bit. I tore apart both of these and filmed it. They're identical on the inside. The only difference between these drills, my 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch, is basically that head that you'd swap out. Otherwise, they're pretty identical. And both were pretty clean, very clean, in fact, on the inside. I'm going to take these out. We got 3 more bolts to get to. We'll pop them out. We'll pop the head off here. Take a look at it. See how it works. See what we need to do to take it apart. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy it. I learned a lot from it. I hope you do too. So let's just get this case off and take it from there. All right, so as you can see, we've got different like screws here that go into this. So these 2 long ones here, such as the one I'm holding up right here, these guys go on the top and bottom front. This is where the longest bits are. 2 middle-sized ones go into the rear here, oops, and here, like so. And then the smallest guy, this one right here, this guy goes into the handle right down here, like that. So now let's get this guy apart. Okay, here we go. Nice and apart. So down here, you can see we've got the power cord coming in. We've got the ground wire going down to here. Sorry about that. We've got wiring coming up to this switch here, like so. Trigger's got a good, nice click to it. That seems pretty nice. Oh, pull this up right here, in fact. See that? You can see the part a little bit that locks it in, the trigger lock. So if we push in, do that. That looks good. What else? So we've got this up here. So the fan is all metal. It's got a good heft to it. See, we got the brushes here, one there and one there. I'm not sure how much meat is left on those bones. It looks like, I'm not sure. I'll have to take this apart and take a look. Looks like the way to do that is if you take this strip off, and then this part over here, this bolt here, the screw there, that screw there, and then these 2, this thing might lift up, the stator and the rotor. We'll see in just a sec. Meanwhile, over on the other side, in order to get the chuck off in the front, there are 3 more screws there. We'll get to those in a sec. Here, here, and there. So we'll try those out in just a minute. Let's zoom in a little bit more and see what we've got here. So over here again, we've got the strip that's overlaying, looks like the rotor. So we get those things out. We'll be okay. I don't know what this part is down here. Not exactly sure. Well, that's going to come out at some point. Something to hold it all in. I'm not sure. The stator itself looks pretty good. I got to say, this looks like pretty clean on the inside. The nice copper wires there. Hopefully that's visible. Again, I mentioned the fan. Good solid metal. That's not some cheapo plastic. You don't see that anymore. Over here you have the front, where again you have some sort of bridge locking this thing in place. So we'll get that stuff out. There's also some stuff in here. This is, again, it says General Electric. Hard to read here. Sorry, guys. Power division. And they got the model number 15TM-1, it says in there. And there's a screw here. I'm not sure what that's going to, so we'll figure that out soon enough. I'm going to mention the trigger looks good. This thing in focus. Unfortunately, it's not reversible. I don't think very many of them were then. see what do we got here. This thing says, yeah. Okay, Underwriter Lab stuff there. There we go. Sorry about the bright lights there, guys. So we'll get this thing off. So let's try getting this thing off here and here and see if we can lift this out. Okay, so we've got this metallic strip off from there, and we took this bit right here out from the front right there. And this thing's not lifting out, but so we'll figure out what's going on there. But look at the brush here, if you can. Plenty of material left on this thing. This drill is hardly ever used. It's pretty remarkable. So that thing's pretty fresh there. No need to replace the brushes on this at all. Practically brand new. All right, one thing we've got to do before we get this stator out. Notice we got 2 screws there on the top holding the magnet down, and down here as well. So we'll take those 2 screws out. Hopefully lift this thing up. We're probably going to have to take off the front bolts as well. Those guys there and there. And then we'll be able to lift this thing out. Probably pump this out somehow. We'll see what happens. Okay, so we got those 4 bolts out there and on the top. Now this thing moves around a little bit. We can't get it out. Can't lift it up. Probably because it's stuck in. In fact, definitely because it's still stuck in here in this area. There was a bolt here that I took out, a small one. This guy right here. So I'm not sure what that was doing there. Couldn't have been helping. Anyway, so we got that out. We got these other ones out. Again, this thing moves around, but it can't quite lift up because the shaft is still going through. So we have to get this out, and that means opening this up at the front, which means taking these bolts, 2, 3 bolts there out. So we'll see. All right, we'll get these 3 bolts out right here. Just you can see in the front. This is where you do the quick change. I mentioned before that this drill, this unit had different attachments, different size drills, and also, again, at least one other thing, a sander is part of it. I think there's something else too, maybe a buffer, I don't recall. But we take these off, the head will come off, and we'll be in business. Very interesting interchangeable design GE came up with here. All right, we got her apart, mostly. So this part, front came out, those 3 screws that you see pushing on right there. Sorry about the lighting here. That and the other guys. So that came out. Looks like that bolt I took out earlier. That screw. That one and a brother one on the other side. I'm going to hold some sort of plate in here. So we'll get that out, and then we'll probably be able to get the chuck out. And it's hard to tell here. I'm sorry about the lighting. You can see a small gear in there. Maybe not. There we go. That'll focus in. Hopefully, no. Let's not playing balls. Trust me, there's a gear underneath all that grease, which the rotor plugs into. You can see the teeth on this thing. Very clean teeth. Very clean all around here. This is just remarkable stuff. You can see here the rotor. Look at the windings on that. Very fresh. I mean, almost factory fresh. Looks like there's no ball bearings or anything like that. There's a sleeve bearing here, it looks like. A bronze bushing even. You can see that. I don't know what that notch is right there, what that's doing. But it was sitting in here like this, and so this thing would spin freely. Again, just amazed at the windings, how clear those are. And also, if you look at the stator, very clean as well. Magnet's nice. And even look at the body of the drill. Usually you'd expect a ton of, if these things have been used at all, see a ton of dirt and grime in there, almost nothing. So this thing hardly got any use. So we're going to put the sucker back together just the way we found it soon. I might take the body apart and do some cleanup on it, get some of the rust off. The number one thing I want to take care of for this right now is that chuck. Clean that thing out. So we're going to take that out, take out these 2 bolts right here. I think that's how it comes out. And then we'll see what we can do from there as far as getting that chuck out. So stick around. After some gentle coaxing, look at that. So we got a bushing in there, and we got the gearing in here. And look at all that grease. Even the grease looks pretty fresh, actually. This thing would focus. So we got a gear in there, and over here, that's the base for the chuck. If that's even visible. Look at this thing. Wow. Very nice. All right, so once again on this thing, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out all this grease here and see what we got here. There's several layers of gearing underneath this, all the slop, and so I'm certainly not going to just start tapping on this chuck bit here and see what happens, because nothing good can happen. And so we'll clean this out, see what we're up against, and go from there. All right, well, that was sort of a greasy mess getting all that stuff out, but most of it's gone now. So we got a couple of gears here, as you can see. This one right here, the rotor teeth mesh with this, which in turn turns the chuck, which is this one right here. So luckily this guy, just a sec, pops right out. So you can see they got the gears here. This goes to the one for the chuck, and this of course goes to the rotor gears. So move that aside. So we got this right here. This does not come off very easily. In fact, I'm probably gonna have to tap this out. This part right here. Hopefully the light's okay on this. Tap this out with the chuck on the other side and get it out that way. So we'll take this over to the bench vise and do a little tap tap. And hopefully this comes out without any trouble. I'll take another quick look just to make sure I'm not missing something. But I think that's the way to go. Alright, well I've tried a few things. Tapping on this one way, tapping on this the other, opening up the chuck, see if I can unscrew it with an Allen key on the inside. It's unfortunately not like that. Looks like it's a tapered one. And I can't get this thing budged out. I've tried pulling on it using a screwdriver in here to try to get this thing out to wedge it. Sort of like, you can wedge these tapered chucks off, and that's not moving anywhere. So rather than go through all that rigmarole for no real gain, just going to clean this up as is on here, pack this back up with some fresh grease, put the gearing back in, and we'll start getting it back together. All right, so the head's been repacked with grease, some molybdenum stuff I picked up, for automotive use. So that's all done. Screwed it back in. Now we're just going to put this thing back together. Notice we're trying to get the rotor and that bushing installed properly in there. There are some teeth in there that mesh with the gears inside the head. So just line that up. Yeah, make sure that as you turn the chuck, the fan goes. That's fine, so it's all connected. Making sure that the rotor's properly slotted, that rear bushing's in its slot. It wasn't too hard to put this together. Just a little bit, there's a few moving pieces you got to manipulate at the same time. You know how that goes. So we'll just get these screws in here, take care of that, and we'll fast forward here and go to the next section. All right, now let's bolt things down here. We're going to get the rotor in place by putting those two, collars on either end of the bushings. Notice the divot on that one at the top. That's for the round nature of that bushing we've got there. So we'll put a couple of screws in. See if we can get a better angle on this thing. You get the idea here. Again, again, just to say it again, I was really shocked how clean this drill was. Got a real break catching this for $5. We'll do a little positioning here. You know how this goes. There we go. Get that sucker going. And I guess we'll do another quick fast forward. I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to do the rear one. Same idea. There's a I guess you can call it a collar that you put over the bulbous end of the bushing. We'll see that in just a sec. Well, I hope you enjoyed that techno pop interlude. I was so smart and snappy with the music that I forgot to put the darn stator on first. So I had to undo everything, take those strips off, and put the rotor in the stator. Now we're fitting that in there. Now hopefully we get this right this time. So a little double duty there. I was rocking to the beat. What can I tell you? So we got that fitted in, making sure everything's nice. We'll put those strips on the bushings again. Here we go. Put that guy on there like so. Then we'll do the rear one afterwards. Yeah, this was that was a little wasted effort before, but all's well that ends well, right? We'll get this going here, fix it up, and we will continue in just a moment. Okay, great. We got that front bushing installed again with that strip with the divot on it. Now let's get these brushes in here. Now, the tricky thing with the brushes, you've got the springs pushing them out, so you got to put those in carefully. You notice I've got my forefinger on there to keep the brush from popping out as I install it. Get that thing in, and you've got the wire at the back to complete the circuit. So it's a little bit of, you're doing three things at once when you're trying to put that in. Sorry that you're getting such a great picture of my hand rather than the brushes, but I hope you get the idea here, what I'm trying to do. Fitting that thing in, slotting it in, There you go. A little something like that. Now there's a screw on the left-hand side I've got to put in. I got to route the wiring. That's what I'm doing right there. Again, sorry about the knuckle vision here. There we go. So we got that in there, so we'll get a screw in. Oh, but first off, we'll do the bottom one. So you see the spring on the brush there? We'll get that in, like a jack-in-the-box popping out. Put that sucker in. Notice it's brushing against the rotor there, so that's fine. We've got the white wire connected on the bottom, so that should be good. Just checking that everything's wired up, the wiring is routed in their slots properly. Looks pretty good. Now we'll get the rear strip to secure the rear bushing. Excuse me. Get that in there like so. And we'll just tighten things down right here. Let's call a halt to the proceedings here and do another musical interlude while we fast forward through the rest of it. Quick sanity check. There we go. Okay, we're just going to button it up now. We're in the home stretch. We've got the case on there. We've got the, 5 screws right there. We're going to get this thing going, so not much to really show here. Again, we'll just do a little musical interlude, get this thing set, then we'll fire it up at the end and see how she sounds. All right, let's see. Feels good in the hand. She's all tightened up. Hopefully we put it together. Let's fire up and see. Here we go. Nice. Love it. All right, she's looking good. Great. Let's keep going. All right, one last thing I want to do is clean it up a little with some WD-40. We're going to get that. We're going to get a little bit of abrasive pad, maroon stuff for scuffing surfaces. Not too heavy, but we've got some corrosion here on the outside. I said it looked great on the inside, and it does. And it looks pretty good on the outside, but let's see if we can clean some of that up. I don't want to do a full repaint on this one. I've got another video coming out showing how to do that. But for this, we're just going to put a little WD-40 on here and try to get some of the corrosion off. Go through and scrub it off. It's going to look pretty good in the end. It won't be factory fresh exactly as far as appearance goes, but we already know it runs like a top on the inside. And if we take care of this like we're doing here, it's going to look great on the outside too. Nice vintage look. So without further ado, let's fast forward through this and see how she looks. All right, here we go, folks. Final test. Look at this after it's been cleaned up a little. It's still a little bit of, and again, I didn't say this is going to be factory fresh in the end, but it's certainly taking care of most of the corrosion there. So that's so the WD-40 trick is something good to try on the cheap. But that's all talk, all appearance. How does it work? Well, let's find out. I'm going to try this too with one hand. So we go through this, hopefully not go through the metal below, but let's try this out. Look at that. Going right through. There we are. Success, folks. Well, thanks again for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed these old drills, these GE portable power tools. This one is a, well, I guess 3/8 wasn't? Okay, TH30. Nice little design. Everything's metal on the inside. At least my unit didn't have any sort of issues as far as corrosion and stuff goes, and I don't know that many others would. Again, it is all metal design on the inside. So I think if you pick up one of these at a garage sale, Craigslist, whatever, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy your own restorations and teardowns. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see some other restorations coming up. We've got bench vices, other drills, working on a table saw, a Craftsman table saw, so should be exciting times around here. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and have a great one.